What's going on, family? This is Scrapbook Boxing, Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuffs series. I want to take a look at a heavyweight championship bout that took place December 26, 1908 in Rush, Clippers Bay. Now, this fight would take place in Sydney, Australia, between colored heavyweight champion Jack Johnson and Canadian heavyweight and world champion Tommy Burns. Now, Jack Johnson would become colored heavyweight champion on October 21st, 1902, when he defeated Denver's Ed Martin. But on December 26, 1908, he would relinquish that title to face Tommy Burns. And next in line would be Sam Langford and Joe Jeanette to fight for that crown. So on February 26, 1909, Sam Langford would defeat Joe Jeanette and become the colored heavyweight champion. So you would have the colored heavyweight champion, Sam Langford, and the world heavyweight champion, Jack Johnson, in one era. Fascinating history. But I want to go through this fight between Jack Johnson and Tommy Burns. But I want to go through it right here with you on the Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuffs series. Outstanding history. Noah Brusso, the Little Giant of Hanover, born June 17, 1881 in Chelsea, Ontario, Canada. He would die May 10, 1955 in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. He stood 5'7" and weighed 155 to 185 pounds. He would be entered in the Boxing Hall of Fame 1960 and the International Boxing Hall of Fame 1996. 1900, he would begin his professional debut against a fighter by the name of Fred Thornton, Delray, Missouri, and would knock him out in 5 rounds. 1902, December 9th, Jim Corbett, Detroit, Michigan. He would lose to him in 10 rounds. 1902, December 26th, Tom McCure, Detroit, Michigan. He would knock him out in 7 rounds. And that would be for the middleweight championship of Michigan. 1903, January 16th, Detroit, Michigan. He would lose in 10 rounds. He would lose to Squeak. Squeak was a southpaw that confused Burns, according to Burns. And he would lose that match in 10 rounds. But in 1904, January 28th, he would face Ben O'Gary. Ben O'Gary, December, he would knock him out in 3 rounds. O'Gary came very close to losing his life when he sustained injuries in that bout. Russo left town and changed his name to Ed Burns, and then later, Tommy Burns. He would have 14 fights that year. June 18th, 1908. There were discussions on a fight between Sam McVeigh, colored heavyweight champion, but it never came about. Once Tommy Burns watched Sam McVeigh in action. December 26, Jack Johnson. Jack Johnson would face Tommy Burns in Sydney, Australia, and he would knock out Tommy Burns in the 14th round. And the cameras and the videos would stop running and shooting. Jack Johnson, known as Little Arthur, Galveston Giant, was born March 31st, 1878 in Galveston, Texas. He died June 10th, 1946 in Lehigh, North Carolina. He stood 6 foot and a quarter inches and weighed 185 and 221 pounds. He was known for his great defense, uppercuts, and outstanding jab. He was entered in the Boxing Hall of Fame in 1954 and the International Boxing Hall of Fame in 1990. 1894, April 11th, Utah Bob Thompson in Galveston, Texas. He would lose that fight in 4 rounds. 1903, February 3rd, he would face Denver Ed Martin, Los Angeles. And he would defeat him in 20 rounds and he would become the colored heavyweight champion. 1908, December 26, he would face Australian and world heavyweight champion Tommy Burns in Sydney, Australia, and he would defeat him in 14 rounds and become the heavyweight champion of the world. Jack Johnson looks like Larry Holmes from this picture. Here you have Jack Johnson shoving off Tommy Burns. Tommy Burns can do nothing with Jack Johnson. Too strong, too witty, too much experience. Jack Johnson would manhandle Tommy Burns all through 8 rounds. And in the last round, he would let Tommy Burns have it. And on the way to a knockout, they would stop the footage. The police would not allow Tommy Burns to be viewed worldwide on his back from a knockout of Jack Johnson. Here you have Jack Johnson tying up Tommy Burns. Lou McIntyre would be the promoter and the referee. Phenomenal history. Jack Johnson becomes the heavyweight champion of the world in 1908. Elected to the Hall of Fame in 1954. Jack Johnson was the first Negro to hold the World Heavyweight Championship. He was born March 31st, 1878 in Galveston, Texas. Johnson began his career in 1899 and fought for 27 years until 1926, known as Little Arthur. He was considered one of the finest defensive boxers of all time. He won a World Heavyweight title from Tommy Burns on December 26, 1908 in Sydney, Australia. The police stopping the bout in the 14th round when Burns was badly beaten. He was a badly beaten fighter. The fight grossed a startling figure of $131,000. The following year, 1909, Johnson defended his title against Stanley Ketchel, the middleweight champion. In the 12th round, Ketchel dropped Johnson, and the latter quickly got up and knocked out the middleweight king. A footnote, Jack Johnson would dust off a half a dozen teeth embedded in his glove. Stanley Ketchel would be laying flat, crucifixion style. Noah Busso, Tommy Burns, heavyweight champion, and would be defeated in 1908 from the colored heavyweight champion, Jack Johnson. Jack Johnson would hold the prestigious title when he defeated Denver Ed Martin on October 21st, 1902. One of the greatest defensive fighters in the history of the game. Jack Johnson. Jack Johnson would defeat this man, Tommy Burns, for the World Heavyweight Championship. Fascinating achievement. And when this happened, the world went upside down. Little black kids were beat up. They were reenacted as Jack Johnson. This time they were held while sons would beat up the little black boys. Clan members would terrify the neighborhoods because a white fighter from Canada would defeat an African-American fighter from the United States. Now, Jack Johnson would find himself in trouble, and he would flee the country and go to Havana, Cuba. 1919, Jack Dempsey would become heavyweight champion, and he would defeat Jess Willard. But in 1915, in Havana, Cuba, Jess Willard would face Jack Johnson, heavyweight champion of the world. Jack Johnson wanted to come back to the United States, so a deal was made. But as most deals at that time were never carried out. And Jess Willard would carry Jack Johnson all the way to the 26th round. Jack Johnson has had enough because that was not the original deal. He was not in shape. And he would collapse in the ring, cover his eyes with his arms from the beaming sun. And Jess Willard would become the new heavyweight champion of the world. $50,000 was promised to Jack Johnson to leave for his wife. It was a verbal agreement that never carried out. Jack Johnson would come back to the States, serve the remainder of his time, and he would be free. Heavyweight champion of the world, Jack Johnson. 1908, 1915. Scrapbook Boxing, Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuffs series. Thanks for hanging in there with me. Salute to the great heavyweights. All great fighters will never be forgotten on my channel. Salute to my subscribers. Salute to Jack Johnson.